If you think your blackness will make you special, then go somewhere else. That is kind of what I'm saying. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another What Is It Like Being Black in video. And I'm here in Portugal, and I'm here to talk about what is it like being black. Yeah. I don't need to explain the relevance of these types of videos. We all know why it's relevant. And the people who are gonna be defensive in the comments, I don't mind. I love when people voice their opinions, even if they disagree with me. So before coming to Portugal, I did research the demographic of this country, and it gave a relatively okay idea of what it would be like to be a person of color here. And actually coming here, I've been here for some months now. As a black person here, you do not stand out. I don't know if it's because I stick mostly to Lisbon usually, and I haven't even been to Porto as yet, but soon. But so far, being black here is not even... If you think your blackness will make you special, then go somewhere else. That is kind of what I'm saying. You won't stand out here. From my experience, you won't. There are a lot of black people here, and I'm not talking about people of color that look a certain way that you may say, oh, maybe they're from there or from there. I'm talking about people from every strata when it comes to the people of color range, in a sense, if you get what I'm saying. So I would say the demographic here is quite diverse in that regard. Like if you're going to the supermarket, if you're walking down the street, if you're going to school, if you're going to church, anywhere you're going, there are gonna be black people there, quite frankly. So you don't need to worry about that. Like compared to my experience in Sweden, for example, or Russia, where I got stared at, and a lot of people in the comments said that, oh, maybe it wasn't because I was black. Sure. And I'm not saying that staring is negative. I'm just saying that when I was in Sweden, it happened, and Russia. And yeah, but here you will not get stared at as a black person at all. You would more than likely get stared at if you're wearing something overly extravagant that makes you stand out, whether you're black, white, blue, purple, pink, or green. If you're wearing something that makes you really stand out, and people stare at you naturally anywhere in the world. So you don't have to worry in that regard about standing out as a black person here in Portugal. You will blend in just fine. Actually, you will blend in so much that they will think you're Portuguese, which is actually really cool, because a lot of times when I go somewhere in supermarkets, every time people will speak to me in Portuguese, and then I have to say, now falar Português, falar English, and which is really cool, because being Portuguese doesn't really have a specific look. That's the thing, which is really nice. Regarding how people of color are treated here systematically, like when you really get down to it and peel the skin off, the outer layer off, to be honest, I'm not really sure. As a black person, I haven't been met with any systematic inequality, but it probably exists. And if you're gonna put it in the comments, oh, it doesn't exist, probably it exists. I don't know. It could exist. I have no idea. But I haven't received any maltreatment because I'm black. The only weird treatment that I have experienced related to being black is someone I encountered, and we had a disagreement over some project that we were both working on, and it was I think it was more myself along with two other of my female teammates were not included in their decision making, which was kind of weird because we all had equal say in the outcome of this project. And when I confronted the person about it, they said, "Oh, it's not because you're black." And for the first time in my mind, I was like, it's not about race. Not for the first time in my mind. Usually, I think people of color aren't the ones who would say to other people that, oh, it's not about race. And I literally had to say that. I'm like, it's not about race. It's about being excluded from a project, even though I was much a part of the group as you and my other fellow two female teammates were much a part of the group as you. So that's the only weird experience that I've had here being black. But I wouldn't even count it. I think that was that person's weird, I don't know, something festering in their minds, or maybe they feel like they're walking on eggshells in a sense because of the state of the society when it comes to race, in a sense. Getting better, yes, but we all know what's out there, especially in places like the USA. But I would say though that, and maybe some Portuguese may disagree with me, but honestly, sexism here is more of a problem than racism, personally. Sexism and I believe the word is like patriotism, right? When you're like for your country, those are the two main issues I see here. And this sort of glorifying idea in Portuguese, the language Portuguese, and I'm gonna explain myself. I've experienced sexism here, like systematic sexism here, like being a student as well. I've seen it in the classroom. I've seen it among the teachers. It's this bitter taste in your mouth. Like even that project that I had to work on, the problem was our teammates were sexist and they didn't even realize it. I'm not a feminist and I'm not an activist in any sort, and I'm not the person who just throws around labels like sexism. Like I barely ever use that word. That's probably the 5th time or 6th time in my life I've really said that word, you know. But I have seen it. I have seen it here. And it's not something that a lot of men realize. That's kind of churning in their mind, but it contributes to the holistic experience here as a woman. You're downplayed. Your ideas are downplayed. Your ideas aren't valued as much. You aren't judged the same way as your male counterparts. You're judged much harder than your male counterparts. And I've seen that. I've been here for several months. I've seen it. I hate to say it, but it's here. Yeah. And the other thing that I would say that I mentioned was the patriotism here. It's a little bit sort of misplaced in a lot of way. And I don't know why, but it's easy when you even making this video and saying that I experience sexism here. It's for a lot of people, it may not be seen as, oh, thank you for your insight, as an outsider looking in and sort of assessing and realizing that, oh, it's actually here. Some persons might take it as an act of attack against the Portuguese identity, which it's not. And I find that people here can be very defensive in that way when you mention anything that is not raving 5-star reviews, you know. And I don't know why. I guess it's a natural thing. But for me as a Jamaican, if someone highlights something that I know is a real problem, I would agree. But here, for a lot of people that experience, it's just very defensive. Very, very defensive. And yeah, there's no need to be that defensive. It's just highlighting that amongst the amazing things that Portugal has to offer, these are the underlying things that you will experience in your day-to-day life if you're living here long term, when it comes to demographic and say sexism versus no sexism, you know. And the other thing that I've experienced here actually is this phrase a lot, which the way how you say it can mean several things, but this phrase, "You're in Portugal, speak Portuguese." The phrase has a lot of fact to it. Yes, this is Portugal. Portuguese is a main language. Yes, it is. But the tone that it's said, it's kind of like, how dare you not speak Portuguese and you're in Portugal. It's like you're in America, speak English, without even taking in the different factors why a person may not speak Portuguese. This has been said to me 5 times, and I'm not the only one. I was even out with one of my friends here, and we were taking pictures, and then a photographer, Portuguese photographer, started taking my pictures without my permission. And she was saying, you need to ask permission, obviously. And then we couldn't relate ourselves very well in Portuguese. And they were like, "Oh, you're in Portugal, speak Portuguese," like almost in this mocking way. And that was my most latest experience. And my most earliest experience of that was my second day here. Was it my second day? Or first day here in Portugal? Either my first or second, but within my first week here, I ordered a taxi and they didn't speak much English. And I was trying to relate myself in English because they were also asking questions. You know, those small talk, like where are you from and stuff like that. And when he didn't realize I spoke English, it was very rudely said, like, "This is Portugal, you speak Portuguese." It's like, I know. It's like my second day here. I'm trying to learn, I want to learn a new language. That's why I decided to move to a country where the main language wasn't English. So give me some time, And there are different reasons why people don't speak Portuguese here, for different reasons, whether you're here for a longer time than I have. So you can't really judge someone off the bat saying like, "This is Portugal, speak Portuguese." We know. We know, and we want to. The language is a bit harder to learn. It's like in Jamaica, we would never say that to someone, like, this is Jamaica, speak English, or this is Jamaica, speak. It's not constricted to the fact that I'm black. It's just constricted to the fact that I don't speak Portuguese. And if I spoke Portuguese, then there would be no problem. So that's the thing. I think there is more of a dissonance between Portuguese speakers and non-Portuguese speakers than black versus non-black. And also, if you break that dissonance down, there is this sort of like wave between Portuguese speaking Brazilians versus Portuguese speakers from Portugal. You will see that some sort of tension going on there. I've seen it. I'm sorry, Portuguese people, I love you. You're amazing, very open, and I love the vibe. But these are just some things that I've seen. Yeah. And of course, I have to conclude on a positive note so people don't attack me. But aside from these things, even with all these things intertwined, it still doesn't take away from Portugal being a great country. And it's a good blend of history, gentrification, culture, It's a very unique mix here. Portugal is a beautiful country, and people are very open and nice and helpful for the most part. They do remind me, of course, of Jamaicans. We're also very open, nice, and helpful. But we have that passive aggression sometimes, which I do see here in the Portuguese people, which I'm not gonna blame you for, because I think Portuguese are the right amount of niceness and themselves. Because I've experienced, for example, when I go to some cities, like for example in America, like people are like nice in a very weird sort of way. Like, what's the film called again? Get Out. That sort of niceness. Get Out niceness. The film Get Out. But here Portuguese people are nice while still being themselves. They're not gonna be overly nice to you just because you're not Portuguese and you're a tourist. They're gonna be nice in a natural way, which I like because it's genuine, you know, it's natural. You know, they're not gonna over smile because, oh my gosh, she's a tourist, hi, how are you? Like, they're just the right amount of being normal and being nice. And I think because of that, it comes with, they're not gonna hide themselves for the sake of you not being from here. If this is our system and this is our culture, this is it. You either take it or leave it, which I also like as well. And the more I'm here, the more I appreciate those things. So I hope this video was helpful on what is it like being black here, and I hope it gave you some insight and gave you some idea of what to expect when you're here. I don't know, you expected me to say more or to say something else, but this is just all I have as being a black person living in Portugal. Yeah, so thank you for coming back to another one of my videos. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. It's free. It helps. Trust me, you think it doesn't, but it does. So subscribe, like, and share. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram at Jamaican Vagabond, I post stories about my travels here in Portugal as I go about my day and do stuff. So if you want to keep up to date on that, do follow. And thanks again, and bye. Ciao. See you in another video.